Alright, let's get into game number 1 here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, spawning up here at the top left-hand corner. It is... I assume this is YoItsFlash as Egg or EGG. I'm not sure. I think it's EGG. I think it's EGG. It might be Egg. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is going to be our teal Protoss player. Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner, it is our white Terran player, BossRoss. One of the other casters for CPL. Trying to adjust my mic here so I can sit up a little bit more. There we go. So we do have another TVP. Wow, we have the TVP days. TVP days. Polaris Rhapsody, another really great map. I actually, like, at first I hated Polaris Rhapsody, but I've kind of started to enjoy the a lot of the matchups that I've been seeing on Polaris Rhapsody. It's kind of just led to a lot of really great games. Not so much that I like really playing on it, but I just mean, like, in terms of the games that I've watched for tournaments and everything else, like, Polaris Rhapsody has gotten some really great games out of it. We'll see how both these players play. I haven't really seen BossRoss play, but I always like watching my fellow casters play and see how they play. I think casters always kind of play in a very certain style. I can't really explain what it is, but like if I saw a player playing and someone was like, "Oh yeah, they're a caster," I'd be like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see it now." But so we're seeing gas barracks coming down here. Nothing really too crazy. A nice little assimilator as well. Happy little assimilators coming down here. And so this is like kind of where the beginning of the game really starts up, is about 3 minutes or so, because that's where you kind of start to see whether or not the Terran's going to go for something like 2 factory like we saw last game, or if the Protoss is going to go for anything other than kind of like the standard 1 gate into Nexus. This map can be really good for being hyper-aggressive, just because you know exactly where your opponent is. You know, this is a really big map, main base here to really take advantage of your opponent. There's so many like lips that you have to really guard and be aware of where things can be dropped or built, or just like kind of either hidden from your opponent or put into your opponent's base and they didn't know about it. So we do have the double gate coming down here from EGG, YoItsFlash. But BossRoss looks like it's going to be just standard, pretty much Siege Expo so far. We don't have too many Marines coming out. We'll see if there's like going to be like 4th and 5th Marine. It might be an FD. We'll be able actually to tell right now if it's an FD. I think it's just going to be a Siege Expand though. Yeah. So there's going to be the nice little Siege Expand starting up here. The SCV's in the base, does scout out what's going on, does see the gateway coming down here. And really you don't want a gateway, you don't want to FD into double gateway. That just means they're just going to have too many Dragoons for you to really easily handle. Sorry. We don't see the Nexus yet, just because it is that double gateway, so we'll be hyper-aggressive kind of Protoss just across the map trying to force in the Terran. But it looks like YoItsFlash is going to go for the Nexus right behind this anyway. Weird, the Dragoons are actually all the way back here still. So as I said, there's that 420 timing. If you go for... Actually, this is really weird. To go for the double gateway into 430 Nexus, but... Wait. Maybe? No? Hello? The probe's coming with them? Alright, now I'm just confused. This is like that drone from before that came with the Hydralisks. And there's that bunker expand yet again. Everybody's a fan of the bunker expand. The siege mode just started as well, and we're pretty much just kind of moving that little command center over there and just being really nice and safe. The great thing about bunker expand is it actually does really well against double gate as well. It pretty much just, I really don't see a weakness to it. I actually have been liking to just pop out a immediate vulture too. Now granted, when you see the double gate, you really want to get the siege tank as soon as possible. And I think that siege tank is out of range to protect that bunker. Yeah, that bunker's actually going to go down. Ooh, that's actually really rough. If this was a hard commit into double gate, there'd be probably about 6 Dragoons here already. Okay, there should be 6 Dragoons here. There's 2 Dragoons that are just being a little idle here. Now the Dragoons have paired up. And they've headed off into their mating season. So the bunker's back. And we're now just into the double factory. We do have mines coming up behind this. We actually might be going into a push. I've been seeing a lot of Terrans do this a lot lately too, is they kind of get like double factory really quickly. And when the Protoss feels safe, because they've locked down the Terran for, you know, the time being, and the Terrans just, you know, they think the Terran's just kind of maxing up, they stop building Dragoons, and the Terrans can get some good work done. But this Protoss, YoItsFlash, has not stopped building Dragoons, so this is actually, it would be dangerous. And I like this, putting the supply depots up here on the high ground. So, like, if any shuttles fly over, you see it, and you have a little bit more time to react. I'd like to see the same thing over here, like just another supply depot. But the engineering base coming down here, no academy yet either. So don't know what the Protoss is up to, and won't know for a while until that academy goes up, or a scouting vulture gets across the map. Really interesting as well is that YoItsFlash is keeping a couple of Dragoons just back home. This is kind of atypical, but is indicative that maybe YoItsFlash is a little bit worried that there is the possibility of a drop, and so keeping these Dragoons just at home will be able to defend any type of drop play that's going to be coming in here from BossRoss. So BossRoss is just kind of just playing nice and slow, not really doing that much. We do have a probe up here in the top right-hand corner. Forward Citadel of a dude. Really just standard from all sides. But I really like this because, like, just no SCV scouts can happen. Like, you deny all SCVs. You deny most vultures, too. I think this is almost vulture tight. I think a vulture can slip through there. But even then, they take a lot of damage. And you'd know exactly where those vultures were going. Oh, my voice is starting to get a little hoarse here. So the observer coming out. This is a really late observer, though. Wow, that's observer speed. That's really early for observer speed. Typically, you get that. I normally see that after Citadel of Dune. After Arbiter Tech has kind of come out, but getting it that early makes me think that YoItsFlash is really uneasy about what BossRoss is doing behind this. And BossRoss so far is going for a seemingly 5-fact type of build. We do have the 8 siege tanks, and we are about to have the 12 vultures as well, so the timing of that is actually really good. And not only that, but we've not seen a lot of gateways come down here from YoItsFlash either. We see that third base go down here, and now if YoItsFlash gets in here, sees the 5 factory, this is when you stop probe production and you get to 6 gate as soon as possible. Because this 5 fact is going to do a lot of damage if you don't have... You try to have like 18 to 20 Dragoons and then non-stop Zealots. Now, granted, the Citadel of Adun did get legs really early, so I think this should be able to shut down this 5-fact. But it's still going to be pretty difficult. You have to engage in the right spots. I really like this, kind of backing up the Dragoons, keeping them alive. And BossRoss is playing this really nice and slow. Sending out a single vulture to just kind of scout. There's no easy way to really push with 5-fact here. There's a group of units over here. Scouting SC to the bottom left hand corner. The 5-fact is coming out a little bit late though. You want this to normally hit at about 9 minutes. It's kind of pushing out at about 10:30, so it's not a really heavy all-in 5-fact or anything. It's just kind of like a delayed timing, I guess, to kind of get a little bit of map control here. The gateways are really late, so this does still have a pretty big window against the build that YoItsFlash is kind of using right now. And there's actually a lot of units just built up back here as well. But this is pretty much perfectly what you want. You want to have about 8 siege tanks. Oh, I don't know what it is. And 12 vultures when you go for the 5-fact. But the delay in pushing out across the map is pretty much allowing YoItsFlash to get into a position to shut this down real hard. And the observer's just on top of all this always. And the vultures are way out of position to stop any type of like giant zealot counterattacks. Now this is actually a little bit of a problem here for YoItsFlash though, is that this is really Dragoon heavy. You really want to have a lot of zealots at this point. Like a lot of zealots. Because 12 vultures will chew through any zealots, like a good number of zealots. But with 10 tanks, the 10 tanks will be able to chew through like infinite amount of Dragoons. Because the Dragoons will be busy taking on those vultures. So the siege up happens right now. But the positioning here from BossRoss is really good. The vultures are intermingled with the tanks. It's not like an awkward prom where vultures are like one side of the room and siege tanks on the other, and then all of a sudden your vultures are engaging dragoons and your siege tanks are engaging zealots. There's a really nice group of dragoons right here to counterattack, to stop any type of reinforcements. And that's actually going to shut down a lot of this. But BossRoss is actually just going to come back and just deal with that. And there's not really anywhere for these dragoons to go, so this is actually just going to be a whole bunch of forfeit dragoons. But it looks like this might be go time. We see a bunch of units now pushing out here from a lot of different angles from YoItsFlash. Oh, this is spooky. It looks like, yeah, here we go. Here's the go time. There's a couple of mines that are intermingled with the rest of those forces. If those zealots drag them in, that could be a lot of damage, but it looks like that's not going to happen. The siege tanks are taking out so many of those dragoons. And I think BossRoss's push is just going to be able to walk across the map now. That third base really doesn't have that many defenses. It's now 138 to 102 in the supply count. Ooh, but the forces are split up! Super split up! Oh, this is really rough. And with that many zealots, oh man, there's no vultures over here to defend this. Oh my god, but the couple of siege tanks split, like, splash damage shots, that those zealots all got cleaned up. Now, there's a third base over here for BossRoss, by the way. And the third base for YoItsFlash is going to get cleaned up. Meanwhile, YoItsFlash is going to try and clean up a lot of like these just rallying forces coming in from those 5 factories. BossRoss floating a lot of money right now. In fact, typically at this point you want to have like your 3rd base, and you want to have your 3rd base going on maybe a 4th base if you have this much, and you have this much map control, as well as you want to be up to like a lot of factories. Still on the 5 factories as of before, but BossRoss now coming back with a couple of those forces after cleaning up that 3rd base. But again, splitting up the forces, and this is really spooky. You don't really want to split up your forces against Protoss. And this mine. Oh my god, this mine. Oh my god, this mine! Yep. Saw that coming. But I like this. Putting down a bunch of mines on the retreat. And we'll be able to save some of those forces. So the 3rd base goes down there for YoItsFlash. BossRoss gets the 3rd base up and running, gets a lot of map control, and it's pretty good supply counts here right now. So now we do have the more of the factories going down. We have the science vessels coming out now. Armories getting that 2-1 upgrades as well. So BossRoss is in a really good position here. YoItsFlash though is up against the the wall here. We've got no 3rd base. It's on its way now, but there's still a paltry number of forces really kind of like keeping this base alive. And we don't have Arbiter tech either, so we're really struggling to keep alive here as YoItsFlash. Ooh, these couple of dragoons are just gonna walk into a bunch of mines. Oh my god. But the problem I think with most of these armies is that they're mostly just so incredibly dragoon heavy. We have a good number of dragoons. We could rely on... Oh my god. We could rely on a lot more of a zealot heavy army. There's another Pupil has to happen at 3rd base. Just under siege again. With a lot more zealots, I think you get a little bit more work out of this, because when you're just too dragoon heavy, just those siege tanks just get so much work done. But there's really big engagement over here. Actually cleaning up so many of these siege tanks just because the vultures were way out of position. And that's going to get BossRoss actually pushed back, and this might forfeit the 3rd base here for BossRoss. So yeah, BossRoss is just pushed all the way back in again. Now we got some KP boys coming in as well. Upgrades are 1-1-1? Shields, interesting. Don't know why the shields upgrade. For the cost of the shields upgrade, you get a lot closer to getting Arbiters out. And we all know Arbiters are what wins this game. But still, 130 to 120 in supply count. We do have the mineral only has been taken by BossRoss as well, so we're sitting in a really good spot here for BossRoss. As soon as like something like 2-1, oh wow, we already have 2-2 as well, actually. So as we move forward to 3-3, no, okay. But if we did, I mean 3-3 is just like peak Terran. Really, you only need about 3-2. I think 3-3 is like the 3rd armor upgrade isn't that great, but I mean at this point, when macros for all of us aren't the perfect of perfect things, like 3-3 doesn't really, matter that much to get that extra 3rd armor upgrade. But if you look at all of the gateways compared to factories, there's more factories than gateways right now. I mean, it's just a rough spot to be in as a Protoss. So the mineral only has been taken by YoItsFlash as well. And YoItsFlash really just needs to start powering up. We need to start getting a lot more tech coming out here. Arbiter tech is far away. We still only have... Wow. This one little KP boy. Actually, ooh, wow. This KP boy down here has 8 kills, 9 kills, 10 kills. Oof. But we still don't have a Stargate or an Arbiter Tribunal, so we're really just not at peak Protoss performance yet. Because once you get that Arbiter, I mean, the game is right back in terms of the possibility of YoItsFlash winning this. But I really like this. BossRoss is pretty much just completely encased this position in mines. We've got a mist turret, we've got a whole bunch of siege tanks. We've mined up the other entrances into the base. We still have one KP boy just kind of running around here. But yeah, again, this mineral only has to just basically back up, and that's fine. You know, like I really like the fact that BossRoss just knows that he can't defend that base and just backs up. Like there's just, if there's no hope of keeping it, you might as well just kind of back up and make sure that you're gonna be able to keep it. But we do have a bunch of Dragoons now pushing in down here. Cool. And that's a lot of Dragoons to lose if you don't really have more bases than your opponent. This is a really rough spot for YoItsFlash. I mean, BossRoss, sitting in a really good position, does still have, like, I mean, as long as this third base is up, BossRoss is in a great spot. Until that goes away, or we see that YoItsFlash takes the, like, whole entire left-hand side of the map, BossRoss is in a great spot. Now, BossRoss is starting to push up into the top right-hand corner. Starting to slow push his way in here as well. And yet again, this top right-hand corner base just has to leave. There's just nothing that could really be done here. So we finally have the Stargate coming down here from YoItsFlash. We finally have that I feel like I'm missing something queued up here. And we're going to get there. Oh, the Dark Templar, though. I mean, we're at 212 for upgrades. The problem is, oh my god, that mine. The problem is, like, I feel like, nice little dropship play as well. I feel like if you're starting to get that many upgrades, it really should have been focusing on getting Arbiter Tech up here. It looks like we're going to be going into the carriers now, too. Polaris Rhapsody, I don't think is a great map for carriers. There's not that much, like, airspace here. Oh, no. Can't go defend that base because there's a full wall here. Can the Templar get back in there? Okay. Templar's got to be spooky, though. There we go. And we clean up all the mines. All the probes left, though. Interestingly enough. Now they're starting to go back. We have 3 Stargates. But we have no minerals. So that's going to be difficult. And we're still at 139 supply count. So we're barely getting back into some sort of mineral mode here. But just losing these little forces all across the map is really just costing YoItsFlash so much. And BossRoss is really playing this super slow. In fact, I'm actually kind of confused why BossRoss isn't max supply. But BossRoss does take the bottom left-hand corner now for himself. And I think there's not really much that YoItsFlash is going to be able to do about that. We have 3-3 on the upgrades here. 2-1-2 for the Protoss. This is like the most upgrades I've seen in any of these matchups. But I mean, like, this engagement is just really not what YoItsFlash needs right now. This needs to be a much, much bigger army. I mean, like, there's less Dragoons than there are. Alright, well, now the Dragoons are starting to filter in, but it's like coming in really late. And they're doing some damage, but they're just kind of like walking in here, hoping that they were going to be zealots and dragging mines, but all the mines are actually way out of position. And so that's just going to lose all those Dragoons, and while this resupply of a whole bunch of zealots is actually probably going to do a lot of work, this is actually somehow going to break through. But BossRoss does come in. Wow, there was a storm spent on a mine. BossRoss is now going to come in here with a bunch more forces to try and stop this from happening. Meanwhile, BossRoss takes a perfect opportunity of this situation and moves a science vessel and a bunch of vultures over here to just take out this mineral-only base. Puts YoItsFlash back stuck into this one base over here in the bottom, at the 9 o'clock position. So, I don't think really YoItsFlash won out in that situation. We're down to 86 supply here. BossRoss is also taking this mineral only as well. But YoItsFlash started to build up a lot of carriers. I mean, if the carriers do completely catch BossRoss off guard, I mean, this could possibly win. Or at least get YoItsFlash back into this game. However, it's going to be really difficult, I think, because even though there's not that many Goliaths here, as soon as BossRoss sees that, BossRoss is just going to queue up nothing but Goliaths. The other thing I'd like to see is a little bit more focus on the macro here. We're seeing a lot of empty, idle factories with 3k minerals. And not max supply. But here comes those carriers. I don't know if we have any upgrades on them. Yeah, we do. We have +1 weapons, air weapons on them, as well as +1 shields. Oh, but we're going to lose one of those carriers right off the bat. That's really not great. At least it's going to force the unsiege here. We still have this base down here in the bottom at the 9 o'clock, but things are looking pretty rough. Honestly, I would have loved to see YoItsFlash pretty much just give up the right-hand side of the map and maybe constantly harass top up right here, because it's like really easy to constantly just move zealots over there. And instead just take the whole entire left-hand side, because keeping this base, getting the mineral only, and this bottom left-hand base was in pretty good situation and pretty possible, given that the constant pushes in there from YoItsFlash, we're keeping BossRoss at bay. Especially if you get that high ground advantage over here, which YoItsFlash did, it could have been pretty good. There's no Terran boosters, by the way, on these Goliaths, so that's really gonna allow YoItsFlash to get a lot of work from these carriers. But I feel like one of the things about Polaris Rhapsody is everybody forgets about this mineral-only base. Or at least I do. I think YoItsFlash could have taken that mineral-only and been in a much better position. But YoItsFlash did take that base. Did get pretty much everything else. And is sitting in a really good position. Now we do have a bunch of carriers now moving in to take out the mineral only. And YoItsFlash is still kind of struggling to get back into this game. We're still only at about 100 supply. There's a science vessel over here, just kind of hanging out. And now we're moving a bunch of those Goliaths back down here, and I love this. BossRoss is taking both corner bases. as well as pushing in at this other base over here. As soon as this base opens up, yeah, as soon as that wall is opened, it's just like BossRoss could just walk right in. Oh, and there's a bunch of probes going down. Oh, this is so rough. Yeah, I think this is like the only mining base left here for YoItsFlash. I think this is pretty much GG. There's not really much else there that YoItsFlash can really do here. There's a bunch of Dragoons over here. But even the Dragoons against these, like, these Dragoons versus these Goliaths is just going to be completely, it's just going to be too one-sided already. 3-3 Dragoons, oh, sorry, 3-3 Goliaths versus even 2-1-2 Dragoons. Even though I think Dragoons only do 75% damage against Goliaths, like, it's typically that fight's going to go in favor of the Dragoons, but with 3-3, I just think that the Goliaths will just walk over them. And now this base over here exists, and there's just a billion siege tanks here. I don't see how anyway that this is going to work out, and I think YoItsFlash is just going to have to GG. Well, to be fair, there's no Goliaths over here. Now the Goliaths from that mineral only are going to have to run over here. But yeah, I mean, try to save the siege tanks back here until the Goliaths get here. There we go. There's the Goliaths. I mean, YoItsFlash is going to be able to take out this base, but again, there's another push in here from BossRoss's vultures to take out all these probes. Supply of more and more Goliaths to try and deal with this army. I mean, there's just really just not enough units here, and YoItsFlash is really trying to stay in this game. There we go. There's the GG. Well played. BossRoss takes game number 1 against YoItsFlash. All right, let's get into game number 2 here. Alrighty. So, spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of Fighting Spirit, it is YoItsFlash. And the bottom, wait, I said right, didn't I? Bottom left-hand corner, it's YoItsFlash. Bottom right-hand corner is BossRoss, a red Terran. We got red versus blue going on up in here. Oh, wait, Goliaths are large units? No way. Goliaths aren't that bad. Hold on, I gotta double check this. Goliath, Terran, StarCraft. Goliaths are large ground units, more you know. Huh. That's weird. Alrighty, so TVP, Fighting Spirit, I feel like, you know, YoItsFlash lost that game number 1 and was just like, alright, you know what? We're gonna just go ahead and play the most basic, normal map that you could possibly ever play, because Polaris Rhapsody is a newer map for New Age. Well, newer map for, I should say, most players that are going to be playing in CPL. I mean, Polaris Rhapsody, I think, kind of came back into favor in the past, like, couple months. And that was when KSL announced that they're going to be using Polaris Rhapsody. So most players here are not going to really have played it too often. And BossRoss is kind of just playing it pretty standard here. We're not going to see any racks expand or anything. We're just seeing the, I like this right here, the barracks into supply depot right here. So that's a nice little zealot type wall. Refinery coming down here. Typically I like to build this a little bit closer up to here, just because when you're building all your factories, which typically go right here, if they're going for a zealot heavy aggression at the beginning of the game, your zealot type wall is super far away from where your factories are. You run into a situation where you just don't have the ability to draw the zealots to a place where you can easily micro. So I've been building my barracks and supply depot right here, just because it also doesn't really affect the refinery here, and you can just run your marines back and forth, as well as just build your factory right above it, which makes it a zealot type wall that defends your factories. Oof. Sorry, I just had to stand up there for a second. Alright, so going into pretty much nothing too crazy here. The cyber core is finishing up at about 250, which is perfect. We'll have the Dragoon on the way, plus range very shortly behind that. The SCV scouted counterclockwise, so that will get there just as the Dragoon pops up, which is really just unfortunate. But if the SCV then scouts at about 4 minutes instead and sees if there is in fact a Nexus coming down, then I think the Terran is going to be pretty happy. This probe, though, is waiting up here in the corner, trying to see if there's going to be an expansion going down here at the Terran Natural. And BossRoss looks to be going for. Oh no. Supply depot behind this. Okay, so we're not going to go immediately into that command center bunker. We're instead going to go for, there we go, there's the command center coming down. A little interesting. Ooh, probe doesn't block the SCV from getting in, so it looks like, YoItsFlash is just going to be completely scattered out. There's really nothing hidden back there anyway. And instead we're going to see just the Nexus going down and nothing really too different. 28 Nexus, the standardest of standard Protoss builds you got. Command center going down. Please don't spoil in chat, because I may be casting those games at another point. And now I know the results. But we got the double gateway now coming down here. The cyber core is finished up its singularity charge. Those dragoons are mighty spoopy. We have the first siege tank coming down here, and I believe siege mode should be finishing up soon. Yeah, so everything's pretty much on time here for BossRoss. Didn't go for the bunker expand though, which is interesting. We're just gonna go for a pretty standard siege expand. With robo facility behind this, so yeah, we're just playing like the most standard you can possibly ever standard on both sides. I'm curious to see if BossRoss is gonna go for the 5 fact again. Now, the 5 fact did come down a little bit late last game. So I'm curious to see if that's going to come down a little bit earlier. It's like, so when you're on a map like Fighting Spirit, it's a lot easier to just kind of get into the groove that you always kind of are in the groove of. So like, if it's the map is, something like Polaris Rhapsody, sometimes just like how the map is formed and just you're trying to remember how to consciously do everything because you're on a new map or a map you're not super comfortable with. Things can come down a little bit delayed, a little bit off kilter. I played a map of Aztec earlier today, and just I was trying to throw down all my barracks for my standard template of when I want to be at this point, whatever. And it was just like I don't know where to put all my barracks because I accidentally like messed up my base sim city. And as a Terran, base sim city is so incredibly important because you have limited space to put pretty much everything in there. And that's really interesting. We're seeing YoItsFlash go for observer speed again. Really careful with that observer speed. And given that we see that really early refinery again, I think we're going to be seeing another 5 fact. Yep, there's the armory. Oh, wait, double armory. Ooh, never mind. Double armory. So it's not going to be a 5-fact. Most likely. It's going to be just really early +1/+1. Probably like a 110-ish push. This is the build that I used to remember. This is a really old build. I learned this back when I first learned... When I first learned how to play TVP back in, like, what, 2008? When I first tried to play StarCraft Brood War. And then StarCraft 2 came out, and I was like, why would I play this old game? I'm gonna go play StarCraft 2. And then many years later, I realized how stupid I was for thinking that. But YoItsFlash comes down. We've got that third base already underway. Citadel of Dune on the way. So I feel like YoItsFlash this game is a lot more on the macro game and feeling a lot more confident. Does get the scout out of the 2 factories. At this point, if you don't see any more factories coming down, guess what? It's not a 5 factory. This is when you get the idea. Okay, so they're going for a nicer, slower play. Playing the nice old creative build-a-base game here. SimCity, Civ, Brood War. So there's a starport now coming down here. This cluster of tanks just... I know at this point in the game, this is totally fine, and there is nothing wrong with having all these tanks in this giant clump. At this early stage in the game, especially when you're surrounded by missile turrets. Like Zealot bombs, yeah, maybe. But... still makes me nervous because I'm just like, that is a stasis away from losing the game. Ooh, Observer did get sniped out. BossRoss is really putting a lot of turrets down. That's 5 turrets, 6 turrets. That's a lot of minerals. And still these observers are able to get around and just scout out the 3rd command center coming down. So this is when you see a command center coming down here as a Protoss, you have 2 choices, right? Your one choice is, well, I'm just gonna go take the rest of the map, or I'm gonna build 1 billion units because at this point is when you're weakest. You're still on only 2 factories. Oh, that was supposed to be a break. I think after losing that many observers to that many missile turrets, you probably should have known that was going to be not the greatest. But that is a lot of siege tanks. That is 12 siege tanks. We're at 9 minutes. The shuttle with 4 zealots just went down. We have the science facility almost up. +1/+1 is just about to finish up. We're going to get 2-2 real quick. Real quick up in here. Nyokin is at home just salivating. This is Nyokin's kind of stuff. This is what Nyokin, you know, gets, dare I say, excited for. If there's one thing Nyokin I know loves, it's just like stupid fast upgrades for no reason at all. I mean, not no reason. It's just, you know, you pretty much win the game, but this is all Nyokin lives for. So it looks like YoItsFlash realizes that that push was not going to work out so well. I don't know why they're trying to kill this engineering base so hard. Oh my god, so many Dragoons just died to kill that. At this point, YoItsFlash needs to just start expanding like crazy. And at this point as well, BossRoss is at 1,600 minerals. I think there should be a lot more factories out here. The problem is when you're relying on so many tanks, you realize that you have so many minerals not able to be spent because you're just constantly depleting your entire gas supply. I doubt even EMP or like any science facilities, any science vessels have come down here because there's just so many tanks. That's so much gas. That is so much gas. When in all likelihood, you want to get to about 12 tanks in the beginning of the game and then just kind of coast on nothing but vultures and Goliaths until you need about 6 more. And because that will allow you to get all of your upgrades and all of your researches kind of in a good spot. Anyway, there's the engineering bay coming back down again. BossRoss is now pretty much on even bases until this 4th base finally warps in here for YoItsFlash. So we're YoItsFlash should be at about 5 bases right now. Or at least the 4th base should be done and at 10 gates, at least. So, YoItsFlash needs I think, a little bit more comfort in getting more bases more quickly. Kind of like that old Six Flags guy with the bald head. More bases more quickly. Six Flags, more fun. I mean, it's pretty much like the Protoss like anthem. More bases, more fun. And then the Venga Boys comes on. I'd also like more of these scans being used. I'm really bad at it as well. But we have High Templar in a shuttle. We still don't have Arbiter Tech. We're at 13 minutes. Ooh, these Arbiters are going to be so late. I just want to start playing Venga Boys nonstop. So 2-2 is going to be finished up here at 13 minutes. Oh, that is so good. Oh, that is so glorious. Probably about 13:30, but still, really early to have that 2-2 upgrades. And really, if this push comes out at about 150 supply, it's going to just pretty much walk over anything Protoss has. So we don't have any. We have armor upgrades. We don't have any type of Arbiter Tech yet. We're just getting there now. And in terms of being maxed out, Protoss isn't that either. So, you know, whenever I played S&M, I'd be like, if it's 13 minutes, S&M has 5 bases maxed out and has an Arbiter about to hit to my base with a recall. Like, that's pretty much just what I've always been kind of... Ooh, that storm though! Oh my god! So many dead units! And it gets away for free! Oh! Alright, so... yeah, anyway, back to my point. Like, Protoss, like, you really just want to have an entire half of the map by 15 minutes. And you want to have, like, 8 gates here, 10 gates here, and you want to just be constantly able to remax again and again and again. Really just, like, how I like to think about that is, think about, like, have at you, the games of DeWalt versus Buell. Like, it was just... DeWalt was just able to constantly throw 200 armies into Buell constantly. That's what you want to be able to do. And if you don't have like just a billion bases, you're just not going to be able to do that. We're at 1,700 minerals for both sides, and we're not maxed out. So, I need to do this too because I've been messing up a lot of my macro lately. But, one of the good things to do here... Oh my god. Every time I do this, I just like walk into like 8 stasises and I just lose the game. And look at that lackluster little Protoss army right there. Oof, that looks so good. That looks so good to me. Oh, another storm! 10 kills, 17 SCVs have died there. And, Terran is even supply right now with 2-2. We're looking at 1-1 on the Protoss army. This is just going to be really rough. Now, we got the double Arbiters about to pop out. Did we drop another High Templar again? Oh no, High Templar died. There's no Goliaths here. And we also... remember, because we spent so much getting all those siege tanks, we don't have any science vessels out. Now, granted, at this point, we could definitely have science vessels and EMPs. But once those Arbiters come out, it's going to be a little bit scarier, but I don't think they're going to have... I mean, they're not going to have stasis available. And, they're really just going to have to force a lot of scans, so that's about it. But there is a good storm over here on those siege tanks. But overall, I mean, the arc of the Protoss is already just getting cleaned up here. There's just so many Dragoons compared to so many tanks. And this is the same thing we saw with YoItsFlash in game number 1. Too many Dragoons, not enough Zealots. You really want to have, like, 2 groups of Zealots just run in there. There's not even that many Vultures left here. Now, granted, a lot of those Vultures got cleaned up at the very beginning of the fight, but... oh, don't run these in. Oh, don't run these in. Don't run these in. Just wait. Just be patient. But at this point, yeah, I mean, this is like where you want to have a lot more zealots, because Siege Strike sucked for zealots. They were really awful against it. Okay, there we go. There's a couple of really good stasises, at least. Let's give a little bit more time here. This High Templar is still here, by the way. That's awesome. But I think at this point, I mean, this is going to be completely losing the natural, if not everything else as well. The stasis is going to wear out soon. There's now finally a science vessel out here as well. This High Templar is still here, by the way. But I mean, like, this is really difficult for Protoss to break. Except for when, like, Terran's not paying attention. Now, I think these Zealots might be able to kill all these tanks. Oh, that last tank was barely out of it. Now we got the Goliaths out. They'll be able to take out the Arbiters. And yeah, I think this is probably game. There's a couple more gateways coming down here. That High Templar finally got cleaned up. The Observer's still here though. But this is looking pretty rough here for YoItsFlash. BossRoss pretty much just has 4 bases compared to the 2 mining bases. So we got 3 mining bases versus 2 mining bases of Protoss. And the upgrades right now are what, 3-3 versus 2-2? 2-2. I'm still gonna laugh at that. So I think at this point, YoItsFlash is just pretty much out of this game, probably out of the series. Bunch of Dragoons and Zealots trying to break out over here, and actually the contain is going to be broken here. But I mean, like, BossRoss is doing a great job of keeping. Oh man, look at this! Look at this! This is beautiful. This is what I like to see. But there's no observers here, which is actually really rough because these mines are just going to get infinite free value. Ooh, yeah. But slowly but surely, I mean, the longer you kind of like let Protoss get back into the game with just doing nothing but... Oh, never mind. Oh, never mind. Oh, God. I have nightmares. And it's all about losing 90% of my forces to nothing but just free stupid mines. But it's difficult to push into something like that because, like, there's just no easy way to deal with it. Here's a little KP boy coming in here, trying to do a little bit of damage. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, wait, what? Where are you going? Oh, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17. Oxen. And he runs away. Aww. 18 killed DT. Dead. It's one dead KP boy. But I mean, BossRoss is playing this game pretty well. I mean, just expanding like crazy. Keeping all those factories spinning most of the time. We're having a little bit of a lag there right now. But we've got siege tanks on cue, so that's all that matters. YoItsFlash is still in this game. Just need to engage this right, and that's the really hard part. So we're going to zoom out here and use these really cool things. And here comes those Arbiters. The Arbiter's going for a stasis. Does get a couple of those siege tanks. There's so many mine zone. They're getting so many free kills. And I think even though YoItsFlash might be able to clean this up. No, I don't think so actually. Not anymore. The Arbiters have all died. Yeah, I think this is just too much. It's too much, man. This one siege tank, by the way, 15 kills, 16 kills, 17 kills, 18 kills. So what's better, a DT or a siege tank? Apparently a siege tank. Oh, guess who's back? Back again. DT's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Yeah, so YoItsFlash is still staying in this game, and I really like the stalwartness of YoItsFlash here. I mean, I would have liked to see YoItsFlash kind of get those Arbiters out a little bit earlier, push out and kind of use those stasises in a little bit more of a hard-to-handle manner. If the stasis was on those double science vessels, I mean, like, those scans would have been really strange, trying to deal with both the DT and the Arbiters. But because the stasis went on, like, 2 siege tanks, it really just didn't get the value that those stasis probably could have gotten. The piecemeal units coming in as well is really just not great for dealing with the Terran ball. For the Terran ball, you really just need to kind of collapse on it all at once. And that was a really good first try when the battle was over here at the natural third. But because now we're in this awkward situation where a bunch of units are kind of moving into the top left and there's nothing really stopping it, you need to really get those... Ooh, good mine drag. Oh, that's really other good mine drag. I think at this point, this game's over. There we go. GG, well played. It's going to be BossRoss taking a 2-0 over YoItsFlash. God, all these games have been like 20 minutes long. My voice.